Hi there. It's 6:26. I believe it's 6:26. Yes, it is 6:26, which means that it's Journal 91 and T+85. 15 more days to go. Um, Working hard not to think about transfusion, the possibility of a transfusion tomorrow, even though I know it'll make me feel better. Um, but what I was thinking about is I finished up a column for the magazine I write for, which is a trade publication, Ratchet and Wrench. Um, it was something that I touched on a lot earlier in the series of blogs that we've been doing, and that's observational therapy, or being observant in general. It doesn't have to be therapy necessarily, but I found that being observant actually results in therapy of a sort. And just as being nicer than you probably have to be, um, results in a number of different benefits that are sometimes hard to go ahead and catalog. And I'll give you an example. I always respond when somebody asks me how I am. My assumption is that if they didn't care, they wouldn't ask. I recognize that that's not always the case. I recognize that there are plenty of times that it's just uh, something they're taught to do and expected to do by management wherever they are. And interestingly enough, we were at Smart and Final out here doing shopping. We have very, very limited storage space here in the room, so we wind up at the market a lot. And it depends on what we're shopping for, which of the markets that we go to. And a young lady behind the counter said, "How are you today?" And I responded by telling her that I was fine. I was vertical, taking nourishment, able to complain. And then I followed that with, "How are you?" And she was taken aback. She really didn't know what to do. Finally, she answered. She said, "I'm fine, thank you." And I said, "Well, that's good. It's a good day to be fine." And as Leslie and I were finishing up after we had paid, she said, "I've been here for 6 years, and I can count the number of times anyone has ever asked me how I was on the fingers of one hand. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate the fact that you asked how I was and that you waited for an answer." I think that constitutes at least a portion of observational therapy, um, in the respect that by observing what transpired, I now recognize how really important it is to ask people around me, or to recognize people around me and to show appreciation for what it is they do. We do that with the housekeeping staff here. And we've noticed that there hasn't been one time where we've needed anything where they haven't gone out of their way for us. Now, I recognize that chances are they would go out of their way for us anyway, because that's what's expected of them. It's part of their job, but they don't do it. They don't have to do it as pleasantly as they do. Um, this whole business of observational therapy began for me after recognizing, after having met with all of the other therapists in my hospital room when I was an inpatient. And there was art therapy, and there was physical therapy, and there was occupational therapy. And I was really too sick to to do anything beyond watching and listening to what was going on around me. And there was this incredible elegance and grace to the service that was offered by all of the professionals that entered and left my room. starting with the custodial staff, starting with the people that sanitized the bathrooms and scrubbed the toilets and cleaned the showers, washed the floor in my room, sanitized everything, um, because it had to be sanitized. Um, Worked around my schedule whenever they could. Uh, the nursing staff, the nursing staff on the sixth floor, as far as I could tell, all of the nurses on the sixth floor were BMT certified, which is bone marrow transplant certified, which is not an easy certification to get, um, from what I understand and from what I was told. And they were all consummate professionals. And at one point, I noticed, for a number of days, there were interns who, or students, I'm not even sure if they were interns, they may have been just students that were rotating in and out of the sixth wing and in the care and custody of these BMT nurses who were explaining to these children, I mean, um, who were enrolled at Biola University or Azusa Pacific, or there was a third institution. I think it was a private school, um, that was training all of these nursing professionals. And it was the care and the gentle way these nurses um, explained the what of what they were doing and the how of what they were doing it, but perhaps more importantly, the why of what they were doing it. And it was something beautiful to behold. I mean, it was really exceptional in so many different ways. Coming back here to the hotel and has been, an experience that's no different. And I started to think about being observant, something my wife accuses me of failing to do on a regular basis. But um, there's an awful lot to be said for remaining observant throughout this whole um, process of being ill and then slowly returning to a normal uh, life. And by slowly, that's exactly what I mean. I'm 3 months almost 3 months out of the transplant itself, which means that for most part, I'm a thinking infant. Um, my body's immune system is gone. My autoimmune system is compromised. Um, I have to be exceptionally careful in where I go, what I do, um, what I eat, how it's prepared. We talked about that at some length over time, but there's a lot to be said for observational therapy. We were at the Arboretum, and I found that there were so many more beautiful things to look at than I remember seeing um, the last time we were there. And we've been to the Arboretum a number of times. It's a magnificent place to go. Um, but I swear I saw things that I never saw before, uh, and marveled at the simplicity and joy that they were able to bring. Um, I think that's something that's important for all of us to recognize, that we're all short timers here. I mean, it's the blink of an eye. Uh, Leslie likes to tell people, especially when it comes to their kids and how long we really have care and custody of our children. Um, it's a blink of an eye. I mean, it's 17 or 18 years out of a lifetime. It's not a long time. Uh, I don't think it's any different with anything else that's out there. We should be we should all be more observant than we are, and we should all act upon what we see more often than we do. And I'm not trying to be preachy or anything like that. I think that the benefit is real, and I think that it far outweighs the effort involved in it. And I think the yield that you get, the results that you get, are so much more um, beautiful. So that's my message for this evening, this afternoon, is I want you to go out and define observational therapy for yourself. And I'd like you to practice it for a couple of days and see what you see. Because I know the difference for me has been profound. So until tomorrow, stay well and take care.